Week 2, Guild Boss 4. Welcome back to another Bit Legend video. We're going to dive right into it. There is a good amount of things to talk about. I don't think that the combat is going to be significantly different here, so if that's what you're looking for, it's not really what we're doing. Actually, I might be able to upgrade Deity and put him in here. Let's see if I can do that real quick. There's a lot of things I want to talk about. I'm going to save some of it for when we're on autopilot. I'm going to save some of it for when we have the 3-minute lockout. But before we get going, let me go and see if I have enough. I think gold was the limiting factor here. He's right at the top for Deity, so let's go put him in. I'm not sure I'm confident enough to make a suggestion on which monsters you guys should be upgrading and devouring, because devouring is permanent and you can't really undo it. Man, it's kind of hard to predict the future. One thing I'm predicting is that the 20% bonus here needs to be increased to 30%, but the devs are working on so much that is a small fry at the moment, because they're working on Guild Boss. And speaking of Guild Boss, let's jump back in here. Let's jump into our battle. I'm going to switch out Swordsman. There is an AoE attack in here that does a lot of damage. It will be adjusted in the future, but right now is not the future. Right now is right now. Do I want to put in another healer? I think I do. Emotionally, I don't, but I do. There is a healing attack. There is an AoE attack, and I just don't know if Pioneer has enough stamina to tank it, but I have gone up in total stats a little bit, so it's actually worth testing this out, and you guys can kind of learn from my mistakes or potential mistakes here. But yeah, we're going to fight this boss 3 times. And there'll be a lot to talk about. So currently, as it stands, the boss is really that quick. You're going to kill one of my guys that quick. Currently, the boss is unchanged, as you can see. Doesn't really matter what team I brought did it. But let's see. So I'm pretty sure you heard it in the previous videos, but Guild Boss 1 is going to have its health increased by 700%. Guild Boss 2, health increased by 650%. Guild Boss 3, health increased by 515. That's going to be pretty significant. I guess I can crunch some numbers. Right now, Guild Boss 2 has 2 million health or 2.5 million health. So that is going to go to 16 million health on Guild Boss 1. Sorry, if I said 2, I meant Guild Boss 1. So my guild was able to take out Guild Boss 1 with 4 attacks, right? That 4 attacks is, there's errors in estimation, but that 4 attacks could turn into like 30 attacks if the health increases by a factor of 8. So we'll take all those daily rewards later. Let me double check. So the lockout is still there. I thought the lockout was 3 minutes, but now I'm seeing 3 minutes and 30. So maybe it's a 4-minute lockout. Yeah, we'll get back to that. Let's talk about loot for a second before I forget. We've killed 6 bosses so far. We killed 3 last week and 3 this week, and we finally dropped a set piece. So you could say, based on our very small sample size, that we have a 1 in 6 chance so far. Let's talk about this, and I'll get back to talking about Guild Boss changes in a second. But taking a look here, so this is the healer offhand set weapon. One thing about the bonus damage that you see here, it was clarified by the dev that percent damage does not increase healing skills, healing pet. Percent damage is just damage. So that's something that is important to note. Hit point regen, right now we're working on getting clarification on that. Right now it feels like it doesn't do anything at all. We're not getting any battle text for it. I'm not seeing my health go up each turn other than the healing talent that I have. If you look at your stat sheet, I think everybody has a base of 10% hit point regen. The reason I'm saying it's base is because if I add up my bonuses, and other players have done this too, I don't have hit point regen, or I don't have enough to add up to what we're seeing in the stat sheet. So we don't know where we're getting this hit point regen from, and I should probably show you what I'm talking about. But where is it? Hit point regen, 10%. I don't have any hit point regen gear or talents or anything, so it appears this is base, but it also appears that this is not working. So maybe when it is working, maybe it'll be interesting. And for any healer that has, any tank or healer that has sanctification, if they make hit point regen work, it might become interesting. Right now, the healer set has like 45% hit point regen. So if you have, I don't know, if you have 5,000 health times you're getting 2,000. You're getting 2.2 thousand hit point per turn, and then if you are sharing to your team 15% of that, that means every turn you would be giving 337 hit points to all your teammates. So if hit point regen works or gets changed or whatever, this could be interesting based on the healer set. And I've kind of criticized the sets, but it's really hard to make a good good criticism without actually testing it out and being live. So I'm trying to kind of hold my tongue a little bit. But anyways, let's go back. So Guild Boss 1 is 2 million health. It's going to go up to 16 million. And for example, my guild was able to take it out with 4 attacks. 9 Live hit it once, I hit it twice, Colby hit it for the last little kill. So that was 4 attacks. So if everything else stays the same, 4 times 8 is what, 32? 4 times 8? Yeah, we can do math. So that would take a significant increase in time. I think that's good though, because Guild Boss 1 shouldn't be a pushover. I mean, it's dropping set pieces. So it should definitely be pretty interesting, and he's a fun guy to fight. Guild Boss 2, hopefully I'm not messing up the Guild Boss numbers, but I probably am, has 4.5 million health right now. That is going to be increased by 650%, and that means that he's going to have, what, 34 million health? So it's a lot of health, and we did it with what, like 10 attacks? 1, yeah, that's probably 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm just going to use 10 attacks as our example. So if it took my guild 10 attacks to kill it before the health has changed, it should take my guild 75 attacks. So that's a really big change there. And let's jump back in. I'll do the rest of the boss math in a minute. Do I really want to change or put anything else in? I feel like they're all going to die regardless of what I do. Hopefully we'll get some good RNG. Keep in mind the boss AoE attack is going to be changed. It's going to be reduced by 35%. So I don't know if that means that a crit is still going to wipe out my team. It kind of looks like it probably is. But we'll see some progress there. For Guild Boss 4, the shield self skill is going to be removed in favor of an attack front 2. So you are going to need to bring 2 tanks in the front most likely, but we're getting a lot of attack random here. Let me do my little shielding skill and watch my team just get smashed against this guy. My guild did have a plan. We were planning on creating a second throwaway guild. My guild is Unity, and we were going to make a new guild called Tunity, and possibly 3nity and 4nity and 5nity. And what we were going to do, since we can kill 3 guild bosses currently in one day, we were going to create a new guild, kill 3 bosses. If there's any loot, someone who wants it can stay. And if there's any more, and then we can just go create a 3rd guild for the next day, and a 4th guild, and so on and so on and so on, and keep hopping guilds. But after discussions with the devs, they have officially made that not a viable strategy. If you join a new guild, you are locked out from hitting Guild Boss for 24 hours. I'm assuming you're also blocked from doing auction. So let's say Mafia, our sub-guild, gets one of the crafting components. So let's say Mafia gets Ancient Blade left. And I say, ooh, Gavin wants to go and steal that. So I join their guild, I bid on it, I win it, and I leave. Or something like that. They've made it so I think that you cannot bid on stuff within 24 hours of joining guild. I think it's actually good in the short run. It would be fun to kind of mess with it. Part of what I like to do is try to break games and see if there's any bugs or exploits or whatnot. And I think it is helpful for the devs because we find all this stuff first and the devs fix it, so it's not a big problem with the community. But would have been fun. I think it's good that it's gone. One of the reasons why it's gone is because let's say your guild drops, like let's just use Ancient Blade Left again. Your guild could potentially sell that to someone else and say, hey, join my guild, give me something I want, we'll let you bid on the item. And so that kind of turns into a toxic situation for community. So I'm glad that's gone because it's not good for what we're trying to do here. I am stacking up legendary material. We're definitely doing that. I don't know, I'm probably gonna end up using it on gear, but there is a chance that I'll be going for the Thunder Fury mythic item. It starts off at like 452 stats, and I think it upgrades all the way to around 1,000 or maybe 1,100. This is going to be a very strong item, if only for the stats and the bonuses. Keep in mind that Thunder Fury is kind of modeled after the vanilla classic WoW Thunder Fury weapon. Remember that Thunder Fury in WoW was a tank weapon. It was a tank weapon. So I'm expecting similar here. And it's also very important, the skill set. So I'm saying it's a tank weapon, and you're going to want to see the skills in game before you go and commit. But for anybody out there in any other guild, do not bid on the sword pieces unless you are unless you're going to make this item 100%. Don't bid on the sword pieces, because if you bid on one and then somebody else makes the weapon, you're like, oh, I don't want that weapon anymore, that sword material is just going to sit in your inventory forever and everyone's going to hate you, and it's going to be bad. But here we go. And then the last thing I'll say about it is we don't know the upgrade cost. Most of us, myself included, are assuming that it's going to cost phase solvent, and we don't know how many. If it is 10 of these to craft it, who knows how many of it is going to be, how much it's going to be to upgrade it. I have no idea. It's a very big investment, and all of the legendary materials that you do spending on this single item are legendary materials that you cannot spend on upgrading your set piece and rolling your mount and all that, so think about it. Let's jump in. I think we're about ready for our final boss attack. Let's jump in here. 10 seconds. My stalling is getting relatively good. Let's talk about boss number 3. So boss number 3 has 9 million health, and that's going to be increased by 515%. So that would mean that the boss number 3 is going to have 5.5 million, 5.5 and a third for all the nerds out there. So 5.5 million is going to be how much it is. I'm getting blown up on Discord right now, so keep that in mind. This is probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Let's just say it's 15 attacks. It could be more, it could be less, whatever. But if it took my guild 15 attacks to kill it without the health changes, next time this boss comes around, it's going to take my guild 92 attacks. So that is, if everybody in the guild is doing their attacks, that's going to take 3 days. So we're seeing really beefy numbers here. We're also, keep in mind, this does not consider anybody increasing their gear, getting more damage, getting a better team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just based on the numbers, and since I'm doing it all live here, I probably said something wrong. So if you're smarter than me, feel free to make fun of me and corrections in the chat down below. But yeah, significant increases to how long it's going to take to kill these bosses. I think that's actually a good thing. These bosses shouldn't just be a pushover. Guild Boss 1 was really underperforming, Guild Boss 2 and 3. Even if Guild Boss 1 is accessible to players that are in Zone 8, I still think it should be a challenge, because potentially a player in Zone 8 could win the chess piece and get a super high total stats item. I think the set pieces, they max out around 750, 740, something like that, for total stats if you upgrade them. So you know, these are mega items, end game items that are essentially available a little bit early. So it should be worth, you know, it should be worth it. Killing the boss should be something that's nice. And the other thing is a lot of guilds, a lot of lower tier guilds, just because there's a lot more lower tier or beginner guilds. I guess I should call them starter guilds. Since there's a lot more of them than there are of the, like, you know, try hard guilds, we're seeing a lot of lower guilds get set pieces, and it feels bad. It feels bad. If the bosses are just a pushover, then it's just an RNG, whatever guild gets the good drops. But anyway, speaking of drops, let's go back to the auction one last time. And here we go, let's talk about this. So anyways, set piece Offhand, 5% damage reduction, we'll talk about that. And then the weapon type here is Communicator. So there's a little problem there. One of the more popular healing specs, and I'm kind of using popular as a placeholder here because there's only like maybe 5 people running Kung Fu, and I think 2 or 3 of them are healers. But there is a skill or a talent that if you have a melee weapon in your main hand, you get crit damage or crit, and if you have a melee weapon in your offhand, you get crit damage or crit. This is a communicator. I'm going to assume that this does not actually. The way the talent is worded, the communicator is not listed. It doesn't say melee. It says like specific weapons like katana and sword and so on. So since communicator is not listed in that, a Kung Fu is not going to want to use this item, or they're not going to want to use that talent. So it's a little bit of a conflict there. And the other thing is damage reduction. Healers, unless they're expecting like the healer to play as like a off tank or bait tank kind of thing, which might be a thing, healers typically you want speed, you want plus healing bonus. Damage reduction, unless this is supposed to be some sort of hybrid tank thing, it's not the most desirable thing. The question when this drop came up is, should the tanks roll on this item because it's an improvement? Like if you look at my offhand, 5% damage reduce is going to be a lot better than 0.75 diversion, and then of course the stats are going to be much higher. But even this thing without any upgrades is only like 10 less total stats than my epic with full upgrades. But personally, you know, you guys do what you're going to do in your guild. Personally, I'm not rolling on this item because I think it should go to healers. I think there is a chance, once people start getting the set and we start testing it out, that if it needs to be changed, we can kind of post some changes with some reasons and see what the devs think about it. But I would say only let healers roll on this. But yeah, there's an interesting build. I do think that DPS players might favor 4 pieces DPS set and 2 pieces healer set. And I think there's some of the healer set pieces that have good bonuses that aren't like damage reduction. And the reason why is because the 2 piece on the healer set is 10% damage. And then if I go into loot, so I'm going to go to guild boss, and I'm going to click on guild boss 3, his little treasure chest. So I'm back here. So remember, the 2-piece bonus here is 10% damage. If I click on the DPS set, so I'm clicking on the DPS offhand, and it is a offhand rifle. Here we're getting damage percent as the bonus here, but also if we look at the set bonus, the 6-piece set bonus is your damage is increased by 15% if your health is higher than 75. So you might choose that you'd rather have 10% damage all the time than 15% damage when your health is higher. People might want that either way, and then you can kind of look at all the individual set piece bonuses. What I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to snap together all of the set pieces to show the bonus on all of them and make that in a nice, good-looking document that I can show in the Discord. So I'll probably go do that now. But anyways, that's me rambling. I appreciate you guys for watching. Let me know what's going on. Let me know what you guys like. As always, I will see you in the next video.